All right, Tim Sykes here. What a Friday. I think this could be the single best Friday that we've seen in terms of perfect plays and how you guys, yes, you, I'm talking to you, how you guys spotted them. Some of them I nailed, some of them I screwed up, some of them I totally missed, but you guys are doing better than ever. And VII is just one case. DGLY is the one that I nailed in the fives. It's holding up in the mid sixes. And then I totally missed CLWT from the twos to the fours. But these are just three plays, and now I see BDR is moving. Well, I guess it's coming down now. ISNS spiked big, and it's coming down too. I want you focused on these morning spikes. I said this yesterday. This is the single best pattern for those of you with small accounts to focus on every single day. Every single day we're seeing these supernovas. And this is not normal, okay? Usually these kinds of plays happen, I don't know, maybe once, twice, sometimes three times a week. I just pointed out half a dozen of them that happened today. So this is a great market. First, we got to take care of some housekeeping. Thank you for all of the great feedback with the webinar that I did with Tim Grattani last night. We will have the replay available shortly. I guess there was an echo in one of our mics. We're not very professional. So we have to try and make that echo sound better. So my goal is to get it out sometime this weekend. But thank you to everybody who tuned in. For those of you who don't know, Croy Runner, Tim Grattani is my top student. He's also become a great trader and teacher now in his own right. He has a DVD called Trading Tickers, which you should most definitely watch. And he just passed $3 million. And it's been a process. It's not perfect. And as we discussed last night for over an hour, we talked about the ups and the downs. And you think, oh, 1,500 to 3 million, it's just one strategy. Just like when I turned my 12,000 into 1.65 million, it's many different strategies combined, adapting to whatever's hot. And that's why I want you focused on these, morning spikes right now, because this is what's hot right now. This is by far the single best risk reward opportunity, and you need to learn how to spot them yourselves. There was a video that I did. Where was it? Those are the chat logs I want to talk about. So here is a cool stock market trick. I'm up to 4,000 video lessons now. So this was, nearly 2,000 video lessons ago in November 2014. And it was basically a preview of my Spikeability DVD. But I want you to see this. This was a morning spike. I call them air pockets, where you have these low float names and they can just spike like this. But let me just show you this. Here's another example. This was in July. So DGLY, part of the reason why I bought it today is because I have played it before and I have seen it go supernova before. This was July 10th, 2014. So just nearly 2 years ago from today. Digital Ally receives a patent and they started shipping a new product to law enforcement customers. And this happened before the whole shooting, and their stock later spiked. But when this patent came out in July, here's what happened. So there was another police shooting back then. I know it's a big problem. My heart goes out to those who are affected, and it's really an ongoing problem. So these security companies that make these cameras for police officers, that are at the heart of the matter, they benefit when you have these police shootings. And I'm sorry to say, but these stocks, really spike. And this was, on a patent news, and this was, I think, as I said, before the shootings in 2014. This later went to, just to give you some historical perspective. This was multiple years ago. I mean, this went all the way to $30. So this has a history of really spiking and going supernova. And this was all in one morning when they got the patent. Notice the gaps in the volume. It was being halted several times, and it went from 3 to 9 all in like 2 hours. So this has a history of spiking. Mind you, this press release was at 8. And again, in this, so I'm analyzing it. I'll link this video too so you can watch it. The right formula. Oh, look. Very volatility positive reopen. But this was the chat room, and you know, this is why it's so important to be in the chat room every single morning these days, especially at or near the market open. This was back in 2014, and I highlighted some people talking about DGLY. You know, I made nearly 10 grand. I was trading with a bigger account back then, but today I made 2 grand. In DGLY, you know, I sold too soon. But I had my solid profit. It went all the way up to 690. It actually got up to the 7s. I was buying it on the breakout right here, you know, in the 560 level. And this is where it gets interesting. So for me, as a trader and a teacher, you know, I'm multitasking, and you guys have to understand that. As a trader, it's far easier. You have an easier job than I do because you just have to trade. You don't have to write out an alert. You don't have to try and get all this stuff, you know, while trading out in real time. So the morning high was, you know, 570. And if you look at my trade today, you know, I got in the 550s. So I was anticipating it breaking the 570. And that's okay because, you know, by the time I even got the stupid alert out, I think it was close to like 570, 580. And it was a breakout. But for me as a teacher, you know, these stocks move fast, and I want you to spot them in real time and learn in real time. It's a problem when I send out an alert and the stock has already moved 50 cents or $1 a share by the time you get the alert. So sometimes I try and anticipate breakouts, especially near the market open, because oftentimes, you know, they just go up so fast. And you can see here, I mean, I was buying it close to the market open. It peaked all within 15 minutes. And then, I mean, you had a secondary spike too, so you don't have to be there all at the first get-go. But it's quick. And, you know, I did very well on DGLY, spotting it, remembering that it was a former supernova, and that was specifically why. And I sold it in the low 6s. It's, you know, in the high 6s, and it got to the 7s. So I tried to take the meat of the move, and I'm trying to show you what can run. ISNS is also a sympathy play, and it went from the 2s to the 3s. I missed that one. VII was also a sympathy play. And this one actually had the biggest percent win, a triple, you know, and this too had the halts. So we're seeing this again and again with these morning spikes and these halts. We saw it earlier with TRCH. We saw it earlier with LEDS. We saw it earlier with BGI. So we've literally had close to a dozen of these this week alone. And if you're not buying them, I really think you're missing out. I don't get it. If you're shorting them, I think you're insane. Because yes, they do start fading eventually, and they're good shorts. But shorting, you know, at or near the market open into these spikes, you set yourself up. I know a lot of, you know, quote, seasoned short sellers, veteran short sellers, who got absolutely destroyed on BGI, and you won't hear about it because they're not transparent. They don't post all their trades publicly. This is specifically why. You know, I was buying BGI in the 120s. And obviously, I didn't think that it would go to 5. I didn't even think it would go to 4, let alone 3. Maybe 2 was probably like the best in my mind. So I underestimated it. I'm not perfect. But at least I know enough to buy these kinds of morning spikes and not short them. Shorting them is the height of all stupidity. But you short sellers, a lot of you guys are just cynical. You refuse to buy. And, you know, you'll pay the price. So live in your caves forever with your parents' basements, with your little screen names, and hate on people who buy them. That's fine. That's the way this penny stock world works. It's all a question of, you know, getting rich for me. Okay, I made my first million buying penny stock breakouts. I made my second million shorting penny stock breakouts. So I'll try various different patterns. As I said in yesterday's video lesson, I think it is terrible risk reward to try and short these plays right now. And the risk reward greatly favors buying them. I got to give props to so many students. Gary, he actually dip bought LEDS, which, you know, I'll talk about in a second, was my main screw up today. But first, I got to give props to Jorge. Good job. Made 700 bucks on DGLY, and this is his first tweet, first trade, new subscriber. So welcome, Jorge. And there's a whole bunch of comments with people not believing it. He showed a screenshot. Like, one of the first tasks that I have for you guys as a new student is to join Twitter. It helps to be transparent. It helps to hold yourself responsible, and have, the social community hold you responsible. It makes you more disciplined. Here is Dave. Nailed CLWT. I'll talk about CLWT in a second too. This was a great morning spiker, and I totally missed it. I was busy with DGLY, but the chat room absolutely nailed this one. So good job, Dave. Here's Hopi 30. I love this. In VII at 70 cents, out at 135, $276 profit on a $300 account. So some of you guys have very small accounts, and people say, oh, you can't trade, you can't get into Wall Street, it takes money to make money. That's all bullshit. If you focus on these morning spikes and if you learn from my past patterns, guess what? It's real. And this was my tweet, and I said VII, ISNS, spiking now too, straight out of my How to Make Millions guide on sympathy plays and hot sectors. It's the exact same pattern, okay? I don't know how many times I have to tell you. If you have not seen this DVD yet, you are missing out. It is 35 hours long. Watch it this weekend. Thank me on Monday. Here's Sid. Nailed CLWT at 3, out at 367. And then Omar just made a few hundred on BGI and EBIO. And I should mention, let's talk about this for a second. EBIO was the #1 percent gainer after hours yesterday. But it had terrible, terrible pre-market price action. And I specifically said this in last night's watch list. I was like, this, never really holds its morning spikes. So I wasn't really ever tempted to buy EBIO. I mean, if you timed it perfectly, you could have bought it, at 270 and sold it at like 290 and made like 20 cents a share. But by and large, there's not much money to be made long or short. It's just very choppy. So I don't want to trade choppy stocks, okay? DGLY is a massive, massive supernova, and it's uptrending nicely pre-market. I didn't want to chase it pre-market. I knew that it had gone supernova in the past, but I want some solid volume. I don't trust pre-market. It's just a guide to seeing what stocks I might trade. Oh, DPW is another one. Ay. Look at all these plays, just freaking going supernova left and right. I also got to give props to some students that I saw in the chat room. T. Duray nailed, took some profits on DGLY. Bearded Man Trader made $1 a share on DGLY. Disabled Trader made 600. He's good for the day. Hey, $600 a day keeps the real job away. Vin Trader made 130. Ali Cohen made 112. Another one made 40 cents a share on CLWT. Bam Bam made nearly 50 cents a share. Paper trading, which is okay. You're practicing. You're not risking hard-earned money. Lucas, the Great, another paper trader on DGLY. I don't even care if you're paper trading. I don't care if you're trading 100 shares. I don't care if you're trading 1,000 shares or 10,000 shares. It's all about witnessing this and learning from these patterns in real time so that you can really start to remember them. It's very difficult for you to kind of comprehend how quickly the moves are if you don't witness it and if you don't learn. So your job as a student, whether you're in my chat room or not, and I greatly think that it'll help you to be in my chat room and see the whole chat kind of spotting these, and my commentary adds another layer. But your job is to study these one by one by one and get more comfortable so that you can start to remember them. If it's your first day and you don't study the past, you're going to be totally lost. Even if it's you're 6 months into trading and you don't study the past, you're going to be lost. You need to study the past to get better for the future. It's that simple. This is why I'm basically a history teacher, teaching the history of all these spikes and how I do well and how I sometimes don't do well, as I'll talk about in a second. Audi Trades, I like this. Seriously, Tim, thank you, and thanks Stocks to Trade. Stocks to Trade is my software that's really helping people. This was cool. Amvilic says DGLY spiking, ISNS spiking with it straight out of your How to Make Millions DVD. Good to see it doing the exact same thing. It doesn't always work out this perfectly. That's why I think today is probably the most perfect day because we have so many supernovas, so many sympathy plays. I've prepared you for this exact moment, and I'm so proud that so many of you are taking advantage of it. Here's Jason, got in VII in at 130, out at 144, in on ISNS 304, out at 344. Making 10% on two different trades very quickly. Dr. CP made his first $1,000 profit on LEDS. Osiris, these were from the other day. I forgot to call these out. I'm sorry. There's too many people. But this was TRCH, which was a morning spiker. And Osiris got in at 126, out at 160. D-Train was in at 103, out at 160. Only got a partial fill. That happens sometimes. Escape the Matrix sold TRCH for a $1,000 gain. Clement actually shorted it at 163 and bought it back down. Remember, you buy the morning spikes, but you can also short them once they get a little insane. And let me just remind you, for those of you who are newbies, and even for intermediate people, I don't know how to short these plays right now. I think even when you win, you're risking way too much. But that's just me. Jay Ware shorted TRCH. Turson bought it. Grew 94 bought it. This was, I guess, today. I'm just mixing everything. I'm not organized at all. I'm trying to keep track of everything. LOL Tony was in on DPW today for a nice $250 gain. DJ Van Ryan made 16% profit. And then Manny Pappy just made a quick $100. But I want you to see these student trades because it gives you a good idea of the variety of tickers, the variety of strategies, the variety of time frames. But I highlight these guys because they're doing something right, whether they're making 10%, 20%, 50%. They're taking the meat of the move on this volatility. So now let me talk about LEDS. So here is Gary. Gary dip bought it, in anticipation of the cup and handle. He bought it at 9 and sold it at 9.90. Made 10% on his money. Good job. I'm going to give him some karma. By the way, giving karma on Profitly, it's just a nice thing to do. It's kind of like a Facebook like. I think it always helps to have good karma. Me teaching, I think, gives me good karma, passing down my lessons. So if you see something that you like, give them karma. But Gary traded LEDS really well, and I traded it really poorly. So it had a triple top at 1040. And if it had broken 1040, it could have really gone to the 11s, 12s, 13s. I mean, that's when you have big short squeeze material. But it couldn't get there. What Gary did was he dip bought it. After it had morning spiked and it tanked. This was a dip buying strategy that I've talked about and that I've done this week, very similar on BLIN earlier this week. And he sold into this spike, and he took a nice 10% move here. I didn't do that. I thought that, okay, it's a double top here at 1040, 1045. But then once it started coming back here, I was buying it in the 1020s, 1030 area, thinking that, okay, third time is the charm. It's finally going to break 1040. And this is where teaching and trading get in my way sometimes. And my own greed and kind of ego got in the way here too, because I thought that it was going to break out. And instead of waiting for the breakout, which, you should do, and which is what I teach to do, I tried to anticipate it because I thought that if it broke 1040, it would go so fast. By the time you even got my alert, the stock might be at 11 or 11.50, and then I get all these emails being like, "Oh, it's so late, it's annoying." So I broke my own rules and I anticipated a breakout. And what happened? I bought right into a wall of sellers. By the time I even got my alert out, instead of it being a breakout, I bought it in the 1020s, 1030 area. By the time my alert got out, it was like 10 or 990. So I was kind of screwed. I don't hold back alerts when a trade goes badly. Like you see the good, bad, and ugly. And I knew that I would have a loss, and I knew that it would be a good lesson for you. So all you can do, and this can happen to anybody, not if you're just, sending out alerts and trying to anticipate a breakout and be more real time. you can buy into a potential breakout and it can fail. This can happen to anybody right here. And even if it got up to 1050 or 1060, it could have then failed. No breakout is definite. Near the market open is better. You have more likelihood of it spiking. Delayed morning spikes are tougher than morning spikes. So DGLY, even though I kind of did the same thing anticipating the breakout, it really wasn't that tough of a decision because it was so close to the market open. You have the huge catalyst with a police shooting. LEDS, I mean, this is day number 2. So this is a stretch for this to break out. I got a little too aggressive, a little too cocky, and I paid the price. And, I cut losses quickly. Right now, if I had held and if I was stubborn, I'd be down, $1.50 a share. As it was, I lost 50 cents a share, which sucks, but sometimes that happens. Losses are part of the game, especially when you break rules, especially when you get too cocky. So I posted this other tweet. So good job, Gary, who did better than me. But I posted this tweet, which I think is so useful. My best trade of the week on DGLY was followed by my worst trade on LEDS. And this is a great reminder to never get too cocky or comfortable, ever. I know you think once you study, once you trade for a few years or a few decades, the game gets easier. It does get easier to spot these stocks. It does get easier to take the meat of the move. But at the same time, you have to watch yourself. Otherwise, the market will, slam your ego, cut you right back down to size, which you should have been in the first place. So DGLY, I nailed. LEDS, very, very bad on my part to try and anticipate a breakout. But that's the imperfect situation that I find myself in, where I'm trying to trade and I'm trying to alert. And I know some people, even DGLY, even though I anticipated the breakout, some people were not happy by the time you get the alert. It's already moved 20, 30 cents. I don't want you following my trades, okay? Unlike other chat rooms, they just post the ticker. They post the ticker, the price, and buy or short. So they're like, bought DGLY 560. And that way it's quicker. But that doesn't really teach you that much, okay? Trade alerts in themselves are kind of useless. I want you to understand the thinking behind my trades. So if it takes me a little longer, like 30 seconds, to write out my commentary as to why I'm buying, that's important for you to learn in real time so that you have the proper mindset. You have my goals. Sometimes my goal is to make 20 to 40 cents a share. On this one, I think I said I wanted to make 50 to 75 cents a share, right? My goal is to make 50 to 75 cents a share. So why did I say I wanted to make 50 to 75 cents a share? I mean, that's kind of a stretch. Well, because I said this has tripled before in a morning spike. So knowing the history of DGLY allowed me to be more aggressive. And that influenced my whole trade, and that influenced my whole reason for being more aggressive and aiming to make more and indeed making more, even though I still sold too soon. So for me, this whole thing is educational. I'm trading with small accounts. I could have bought 50,000 shares of DGLY. The volume is already 10 million shares midday here. So there's so much money to be made, but I trade with a small account to show you how to grow it. So even with my losses, on LEDS, let me just show you here. You see, look at this guy. He thinks EBIO is going to be a nice squeezer. Focus on volatile stocks. Don't focus on choppy stocks. Stop trying to think. Start trying to react. Anyways, my week, which is what I wanted to show you. I've had a fantastic holiday shortened week where, even with my losses, I'm still up. And this was by far my best trade, DGLY. Even though I've had, big percent gains, BLIN was a 20% winner, I had smaller positions. DGLY, I think, is my best trade in quite a while because I remembered history, because I've studied history. So please. Oh, and here's the chat logs, by the way. I just wanted to show you. But please study and get in the chat room. Here is the chat logs from today. Everything is archived so you can see, sometimes we're going to screw up, sometimes we're going to miss plays, sometimes we're going to nail them. But I want you to see my chat room. Everyone's focused on EBIO pre-market because it's the biggest percent winner. But I was really proud of you guys right at the market open. This is 9:30 a.m. Now people are saying LEDS as a potential spiker. But right here, look at this. Fadster M. He's in on DGLY at 506, long before me. And this is what I love seeing this. Lucas, huge volume. Disabled Trader is already in and out before I even get in. Fadster's out at 553. Lucas is in at 5. Gradually people start seeing DGLY. And then look at this. Now we move on. Oh, I actually forgot some people right here. Ranger Trader, CLWT, up 22%. So Veeks, CLWT, it's a contract winner. Correct. And he corrected himself really quickly. So within 3 minutes of the market open, my chat room is finding CLWT and it being up 22%. Here is CLWT right here. It was being talked about right here when the stock was in the 280s. And you had plenty of time to buy this breakout. It was gradually uptrending right here at 949. So anybody in my chat room had a 15-minute heads up before CLWT starts really spiking. And, DGLY, my students were in it before me. I like that. Trader Finder says CLWT could grow. Volition, CLWT, contract winner. Johnny Hunt, CLWT. Johnny Hunt says, watch the volume. Johnny Hunt, you're a smart man. I like it. Ergo talks about how the float is like 1 million shares. But, it's not a perfect science. It was a little choppy. I don't think I even would have touched it here because it's too choppy. The time to really buy it was right in here, and I was busy with DGLY then and looking at LEDS. So people are still talking about EBIO, and that turned out to be the wrong thing. But now people are saying DGLY, CLWT, tiny float. Remember, you still have time to get into CLWT before it starts spiking. Wait for it. Now DGLY starts really spiking. But here's CLWT. Where is it? Here we go. Christoph Co. CLWT possible buy if it breaks 325. Just look at this. This is all right here in the chart. And this is in the chat room. All archived. CLWT wow. CLWT moving. Audi Trade CLWT low float contract winner. I mean, here's Christoph Co. CLWT spiking. CLWT ripping. Another one made a quick 40 cents a share. Johnny Hunt says new high of the day. And then people start talking about CLWT pretty much nonstop. And then it goes into VII. So now VII is exploding. Rambo says, holy, VII is exploding. And this is at 10 a.m. So this is when, VII is being talked about here in the ones before it spikes to the 160s. Who was the first to talk about VII? Let's see. VII, new high. Very nice. So this was at 9:57 a.m. So this was right here where the stock was at 96 cents. Hold on. Who said it earlier? Let me scroll up. 9:51. Four more says looking yummy. So this is when the stock is at right here at 75 cents. So you have, 15, 20 minutes before the stock doubles. Where else are you going to find anything where you have 15 minutes before the stock doubles? Let me see who else was talking about it. Look at this. Elo Oso 17 said that VII was a sympathy play at 9:49 a.m. Eastern. I think Elo Oso is the first to discuss it. But I guarantee you that Elo Oso has seen my How to Make Millions DVD because he says it exactly correct. DGLY is spiking. VII is a sympathy play. So this is at 9:49 a.m. in my chat room. And this is right here. The stock is at 69 cents before it goes to $1.60. And even now, if somehow you hold, it's still at $1, you've still made 50% on your money. So morning spikes are the focus. Please, please, please be in my chat room. Please study this weekend. Where is that link that I had? I have way too many things. Oh, this video lesson, I'm going to link it here. The coolest stock market trick that nobody talks about. Well, I'm talking about it, and it's happening again. So you can either ignore history and miss out, or you can learn from history and be better prepared. Congrats to so many of you guys. Another great morning. Whew, a lot of you guys did better than me, and I love seeing that. So thank you. Study up this weekend. I'll see you in the chat room.